Hello everyone, have you ever heard the sound of marbles rolling on the roof at night? This story happened to a young man named Q when he was in college. After coming home for summer vacation, Q found that his family had moved to a new house. But the location of this new housing complex was very remote, with almost no one living there. It felt eerie even during the day, and at night the complex was pitch black, with stray cats and dogs running around everywhere, very creepy. The first 2 days after Q came home, nothing unusual happened. But on the third night, something strange occurred. Q was living in room 502 on the 5th floor at the time. He was sleeping hazily when some odd noise startled him awake. He picked up his phone to check the time, after 2 a.m., then pricked up his ears to listen. He heard an intermittent, clacking sound coming from the room, like glass marbles bouncing on the floor. At first Q didn't take it too seriously and wanted to go back to sleep. But then the bizarre sound rang out again, steady and unhurried. Q listened carefully again, feeling like the sound was coming from upstairs. He cursed silently, wondering which jerk was messing around instead of sleeping this late at night. Then his dad came out from the bedroom. Q's dad was ex-military who had seen combat. After returning from war, he had post-traumatic stress disorder and would be easily roused by any noise while sleeping. Hearing his dad get up, Q also went to the living room and told his dad what had just happened. His dad listened and felt it was very strange, since there was no one living upstairs. As father and son were talking, the clacking sound came from upstairs again, even louder this time. Q's dad listened solemnly for a while, then went to the kitchen and grabbed a cleaver, saying he would go upstairs to investigate. Father and son left the apartment. Q's dad whispered for him to follow behind. It was pitch black in the stairwell, they couldn't see anything, only faint wind sounds. Q reached for the light switch and pressed it to no avail, it was broken. So they continued upward in the dark. By the 6th floor, their eyes had adjusted to the darkness and could vaguely make out shapes. They noticed that room 602 had a badly damaged security door, with the peephole and lock missing, clearly uninhabited. Just as Q reached to push open the door, his dad pulled him back. Dad leaned against the door listening for a while, then slowly pushed it open. Without a word, his dad charged inside, with Q close behind. After thoroughly searching the room, besides dust, there was nothing, just an empty room without any furniture. Father and son then prepared to go back home, when suddenly a gust of wind blew the security door shut just as they reached the doorway of 602. Immediately after, the clacking sound came from inside the room again. Q was scared stiff by this series of bizarre events, his mind went blank. Later when recalling how they got back home, he couldn't remember clearly, only that his dad's face was ashen as he kept shouting Q's name, leaving Q unable to sleep that night. The next afternoon, Q and his dad checked room 602 again but found nothing unusual, just their messy footprints everywhere. Nearly a week passed without any recurrence of the strange sounds. Just when Q was about to put it out of his mind, something happened again one night. His dad was away on business, so Q was home alone. It occurred again while Q was sleeping. He had gone to bed early and was awakened at some unknown hour by urgent knocking on the door. Thinking it was his dad, Q got up to open the door. But the knocking grew heavier, practically pounding the door. Q was terrified by this sudden change. He gathered his courage and shouted loudly, "Dad, is that you? Who's out there?" But no one responded, just the increasingly rapid pounding. Q immediately returned to his bedroom and glanced at his phone, again around 2 a.m. Before he could calm down, the bizarre marble sound occurred, seemingly from the unoccupied 602 upstairs. Then amidst the clacking came sounds reminiscent of someone running around and playing in room 602. But who could be in an abandoned room this late at night? The more Q thought about it, the more frightened he became. He picked up his phone, ready to call his dad, when all the sounds abruptly ceased. The room became exceptionally quiet, so silent that Q could hear his own breathing. The strange occurrences didn't resume for the rest of the night, leaving Q wide awake until daylight. The next day, tenants moved into 602 and renovated for a long time. The bizarre sounds never returned after that. The story ends here. The strange experience during that summer vacation remains vivid in Q's mind, and he still doesn't understand what caused those bizarre happenings. I estimate many people have encountered this type of situation, hearing odd sounds from the ceiling or roof at night, checking but finding nothing. Upon closer listen, the sounds seem to come from upstairs or next door. Most terrifying is when no one lives upstairs or next door. However, there are scientific explanations for this phenomenon. After construction, buildings are not completely stable, like placing a cup of water on styrofoam. After some time, the cup will sink into the foam. The same happens with buildings. Due to soil compaction or underground water, after completion, buildings will experience sinking until reaching a stable state, a process called settlement. During construction, use of substandard steel bars can cause cracks and gaps between the concrete and steel. Rainwater seeping into these cracks promotes mold growth, enlarging the gaps over time. Combined with building settlement, temperature differences causing expansion and contraction, etc., all these factors create stress and tension between the concrete and the steel bars it encases. Under these forces, the concrete and steel grind against each other due to the gaps, producing strange noises. This is actually quite common. While this explains the odd marble sounds, the knocking Q heard that night remains unexplained. Possibly he experienced some psychotic hallucination. Finally, I'd like to ask if any of you viewers have heard noises like marbles rolling on your roof at night. Please share your thoughts in the comments section. See you next story.